My name is Bara W and you're watching the 5T podcast, Techno and Talk, on Tuesdays and Thursdays with Ty.
Welcome back to another episode of the 5T podcast, Techno and Talk on Tuesdays and Thursdays with Ty. As usual, all our guests are special, and we have a very special guest today. I'll let him introduce himself. Who are you, and how did you end up in Stockholm's techno scene?
Right, so my name is Bara W, aka Bara W. I'm originally from Palestine, but I live in Stockholm for almost a decade now. How did I end up here? It's a long story, like most of the DJs out there. But it started 10 years ago, 12 years ago, when I discovered, at around that time it was trance music, it's that kind of lead and so on. And me and my couple of friends in Palestine started a group called Trance Family Palestine. And it was we were like just these nerds who wanted to put out the music, like, guys, whatever you listen to is drop it, you know, listen to this music.
Yep.
And because of that, we started to like, why don't we do parties ourselves? And we had some friends who are good at designing, some friends who are good at business mindset and so on, but we didn't have DJs. And for me, it was the point is to introduce these people to music. So I started DJing by myself, learning alone. And we did the first party, and then I liked it. I loved it actually, but it's not that you can play whatever you like. So ended up playing everything, literally. Okay. I get booked for Spanish Embassy, playing reggaeton. I get booked for salsa. I was playing deep house on the Dead Sea. Okay. I mean, Arabic music, weddings. I just want to be behind the controllers.
Fantastic.
And then I started doing this radio show in Palestine, but I was tuning it online on Tune On Air. It was in UK, I think, and Dubai, but the rest of the world was on like the IFM and so on. It used to be called TOA. And the whole point was I was releasing weekly just to spread like the sound. And then I had some personal incident in my life where a friend died, so I lost my motivation. Then around that time I moved to Sweden and I wanted to go back to it, but it was really hard to get back into the scene in Sweden, but still love music, so going to parties and so on. And then I just needed someone to trust me on the stage, because I mean my history is in Palestine, in DJing is not in Sweden. And then in one party, some DJ didn't show up, and I had to jump in. And yeah, that was my first booking a couple of years ago. Okay. And and then since then, I've been trying to build like a name. I've been trying to work on behind the scene on production. I've been trying to be involved in parties and so on and so forth. Okay. So this is a bit of history about me.
All right. Well, what's the scene like in Palestine? Are there a lot of clubs? Are there a lot of places where people are going?
Let's call it, it's quite underground because of, it's conservative culture. So we have Christians, Muslims and Jewish, and it's mostly Muslims, but there are cities where it's okay to have parties and so on, but you cannot be, even in those cities, you cannot just go out and scream hey, there's a party here. So I got it was a bit challenging for me coming, because I'm coming from conservative village. Okay. And it wouldn't be acceptable, like, oh, you're DJing for people to dance and so on and so forth. so it was that a big challenge. The first party we actually printed posters and stick them around the city, make them look like it's not a real party, but to have the catch of the people who knows this type of parties to end up. And it's not illegal or anything. It's basically in a club and so on, but it's a specific type of people who go to clubs in the first place. Just like in other places, raves are like specific to all the parties were specific to people. So that's where that's how it is there.
Okay, but was it, I mean, you said you come from a conservative village. I mean, what does that mean when you say conservative?
Let's put it like playing music for like it's not. Let's say it's quite religious, so it's not common that you go to a party where like there's alcohol or something like that. So I even started working as well, anything with sound. So I started even doing like small events, not events like a school wants to have a basketball day. They want someone on the sound check and so on. That's where I jump in. So I was like, people thought that I'm doing that, but mostly I was doing DJing. So yeah.
But what makes you? Why do you think you were attracted to that kind of music in the first place?
It's a funny story how I discovered trance music in the first, like when it was 2008, 2009. It was over the radio. When remember, like you send phone songs via Bluetooth. And one song that got stuck in my head says this is a state of trance or something like that. Until I was like, what is this? What is this? And I don't have a proper internet at my place to go Google it. Until the same, the same statement was said on the radio. And I was like, hold on, what is this? What is? And then I started searching, and then I met a friend who actually knew it, and then I got hooked up with it. But it's like the more I advanced into, not just in DJing, in my whole life, I realized that it's not just about a specific type of music. Generally, all the music I realized that in the last I'm almost 30 years now, and in the last 30 years, the moment I start talking, everything been around music, whether it's listening, enjoying. So that's why I started where I played anything. Because it's just music. But of course, with the time moved on, I tried to have a rule of only playing what I like. But I have one problem. I like a lot of music.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's great to actually have a broad base, because then you can get a lot of different gigs. Out of those experiences that you had in Palestine, can you share like one that was like really epic or really like memorable for you back then?
I would share actually two of them. The first one is the first event that we were just working on it. We never done events before. I was 12 years younger or 10 years younger. It's not that I haven't done events before. I was still first year university and so on, and we're talking to a hotel club, and we're managing such like hard business, and legal work is involved and so on. And we were like, yeah, whatever, we'll lose the money. My friend who invested this money, we were like, okay, lose it. We'll just do this party and lose it. And then the door was queues so long, and somebody came like where they were so happy, and the reaction of the crowd where I played music that I listened to myself at home, that was the moment that got me like the most chills. Even somebody slapped me on, like give me a high five that my hand still doesn't work fine. That was one day, and then the second day is that when I played 12 hours in the Dead Sea.
Wow.
We're talking about 50 degrees.
Wow.
Next to the Dead Sea in Jericho. I lost so much weight that day. It's very, very like hard weather, and it's so warm. It's so warm. But the fact that you had an open to close set with you can play like most ticked around tech house, deep house, but the vibe, you controlled the dance floor for 12 hours. People told me you're crazy that I was not doing it for so much money, but like you should get proper paid. I was like, I enjoyed it. That's the whole point.
Love, exactly.
So that moment as well was biggest moments I had in Palestine.
Awesome. So then you said that you got your first break at a party in Stockholm when someone didn't show up. What party was that? Do you remember?
I went to a party, midsummer rave for Techno Hearts.
Okay.
And I was telling Sebastian that I DJ, just I've been telling to everybody, you know, like nobody, but you just throw it there. And I told him one party, and he said that, yeah, we'll see. All the promoters say that. And then I was there, and he had the auto mix on. And the party was not like still the beginning, not so many people there. And I'm like, if you have the auto mix on,
Give me a shot.
give me a shot.
Yeah.
And he was like, she's coming.
Yeah.
It was his cousin, the DJ.
Okay, yeah.
And at the end he was like, you, Bara, you said you DJ, right? I was like, yeah. And he was like, okay, jump in. 30, 45 minutes, something like that.
Fantastic.
And I jumped in, and I got stressed because it was not planned. And I did mistakes.
Of course.
But he was, how do you say, he's old school, trance and so on. So whenever he was passing by, he was hearing a classic remixed into modern music.
Okay.
So he goes like, "Yatte bro." He's like, perfect. And then he goes like, you play next weekend.
Oh, fantastic.
I was like, then I had to prepare for a whole, so excited, you know, back to the scene.
Yeah.
So I had to prepare for a whole week for that next weekend gig.
Fantastic. What has been your favorite gig or your favorite gig in Stockholm?
My favorite gig was actually, so I mean there are gigs that are special to me because they are a milestone, and there is an emotional gigs where they mean so much to me. That my gig that is emotional to me is same party, Midsummer 1 year later.
Okay, fantastic.
I had a 2-hour set on peak hour, and it was one of my best sets ever in terms of crowd, interaction with the crowd. You have fun during your set.
Yeah.
If your crowd had fun.
Exactly.
So you get your energy from the crowd, and the crowd gets their energy from you. So it's a feedback loop, never ending. And that specific set, I wanted to play specific type of tracks. I want to go from techno to tech trance and so on, but I saw that the crowd is enjoying one sound, so I stick to it because they liked it. And when I finished my set after 2 hours, that DJ after me couldn't start their set of the time of how much they were clapping and praising and so on. But that's not the only special part of it. It was the exact day 1 year later since the day I started DJing. So it's Midsummer, the next year Midsummer I got that gig, and on purpose I dress up with the same clothes that I wore the year before, which is a t-shirt says 10K thanks, and I wore that 1 year later, and it was more like, you see, where I was on an empty dance floor playing for my friends, to the point where I had a full dance floor and people coming to me asking for me for info about me and so on. So that was special to me.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, and I had another, like, one gig as well, very special to me was my Monday Bar gig this weekend. Because I've been, I love Monday Bar party itself, so it was very special to me to open the stage before an artist that I've been listening to for at least 12 years. Okay. So I was warming up the stage for him. So
what artist?
Jon Van Dyven.
Okay.
So it's a trance, one of the trance big names, and I was so glad that I got that spot.
Yeah. If there's one thing that you could do with this time, if there's one thing that you could promote with the time that we have here, what would that be? for instance, I asked this question and some people have said, I just want people to love each other.
Yeah.
I just want...
I was going to answer something like that, but...
Yeah, and like literally anything. Like when I'm gonna do something, like I usually sit down and say, okay, what do I want to get out by doing this? What's my reason for doing this? So if you can put that into like a sentence or
I would say, I mean, I don't want to sound cheesy, but what it says here. And
love music.
And I don't want to apply it for between the people who are on the dance floor. I want to apply it between the people who are doing the scene, running the scene.
Yes.
I think we could be helping each other more than sometimes hurting each other. I see a lot of times when you get involved into the business side of music, it could be better. It could be treated nicely, and just the way that people hug each other on the dance floor. I don't want to say promoters hug each other, but you could collaborate more than compete. Yeah. I would say that's the most important thing, and I would love to see young people as well getting in with their ideas into the scene, whether they are DJing or whether they are organizing their parties. It's good to come to the scene with something special, and I'm not talking about something big. Our party includes always having hanging flowers. That specific touch, you know, our parties always have this type of dance floors, this stage, and try to throw something special and give this diversity. I see a lot of promoters now going towards multi-stage, different styles, and of course the scene in Stockholm is quite limited if we want to compare to Berlin or Amsterdam. So I think it's a very good chance to capture a lot of people and introduce them. Another thing is that we have gone out of a very rough time in COVID. A lot of people got introduced to the underground scene at that time. And those people, let's not lose them. Let's attract them into nice parties. They still love the underground. Yeah. They might want to see it in a club. Yeah. They want to see it on a rooftop. Yes. So,
and I think it's also, because we have all these new people, we also have a responsibility to them also. Exactly. To show them the good sides and to kind of bring them up into this idea of togetherness. Because to me, that's made the difference in the techno scene. It's like there always has been this community vibe.
Exactly.
Like I was saying before, there's always this idea of it's not just a party.
It's not just a party, it's a concept.
Exactly. You're here with a group of people and we're doing this thing together.
Exactly.
You're not just going with your friends and you're going to go crazy and get drunk and hit on girls or hit on guys or whatever. You're going out to be a part of something that's a little bit bigger than yourself. Yeah. I think that's something that we definitely need, because I agree with you 100%. The scene has grown so much because of COVID. Because there was one of the few places where you could go and have a good time. Yeah. So I think instead of being an alternative like it was before, it's now like a main choice. It's like an option.
Exactly. I mean, as you said, these people who got introduced, let's keep them and even introduce to more. We probably will not get the chance like COVID. I mean, COVID was obviously a hit to everyone and affected everyone. Yeah. But at the same time, if we take the positive side of that, we attracted a lot of people. Exactly. And people discovered, as you said, that it's not really just going to go bananas on the weekend. No, you actually go there because you have a community. Sometimes you make friends that you only see there. Exactly. And it's not really bad if you don't see them outside the party, but you feel safe.
Exactly.
Totally agree.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. Bara W, thank you for coming down.
My pleasure.
I so much appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Yeah, I really would like to get into like your experiences in Palestine and stuff like that, but maybe we do another interview, because I think that to show people or to get people more of an insight into what exactly happens there and all the rest of this, and how both the conservative culture and all the rest of that kind of keeps the scene super underground.
I mean, we're talking about house music. It's still underground.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not talking about techno here.
Yeah. Just parties in general. The whole concept of going to a party and just going to dance.
Yeah, exactly.
It's super underground.
Yeah, it's not something you post about and so on.
Exactly.
Use social media to contact.
So I think I'd like to do an interview with you again, just to focus on that, because I think it's necessary that people understand how much of a luxury we have in this side of the world, that even though we do get some harassment from the cops and all that, it's not on the level of the general.
I mean, I can tell you just one point here is that I had to block half of my village on social media.
Wow.
Because it causes my family issue, where they go to my family and say,
Of course.
oh, your son is doing 1, 2, 3, and they go to me like, do it, my parents do it, but don't post it. And I'm like, do you even know how social media works? Like, I will never succeed if I don't. I mean, sometimes I just want to cancel my social media just to relax, but you can't, because it's your standpoint where you promote yourself, you show yourself.
It's your outlet to the world.
Exactly, and if you posted something, if you played somewhere, you have to thank people, you have to show them respect, you have to put your set out, and so on and so forth. So social media gives us the possibility, but at the same time it stabs us in the back.
Exactly. I agree with you 100% on that. Yeah, but we'll get into that in another interview.
Definitely.
Specifically. All right. Thank y'all for watching another episode of the 5T Podcast. I want to thank our guest, Bara W, for being here today. And see y'all hopefully at Wonderland on the 26th and the 28th. We got a couple of things coming up for y'all. Peace. Love, Stockholm.